So I gotta be honest, I did not think that there would be 10-ish questions on the post that I made, but you guys are really just the best and ask some extremely good questions that I would love to answer in this video. Now there are probably questions enough to cover a whole video because I already know that I'm gonna go on a long tangent and talk a whole bunch, and this video is gonna be hours long. But you know what? I did promise a little story time about me, you know, who is this random girl on the internet, a little bit about my animal stories, how did I become obsessed with animals, and how did I become a vet student. So it's lucky I'm only 20 and I'm gonna give you guys a sort of detailed but not too detailed story of my life. So the basics for those who might not know, my name is Stella. I am a 20-year-old vet student from Denmark. I live in Copenhagen in a very small apartment with my blue-headed Pinus parrot Charlie. So I have lived in Denmark my whole entire life. I only moved to Copenhagen around 4 months ago due to vet school. Else I come from this very small town where my mom and dad, though divorced, and my youngest sister and older brother still live. I also have a German half-brother, which might make you think that my German is good, but no, it's pretty terrible. I can barely hold any conversations at all. But moral of the story, I'm the middle child, so for any middle children out there, I feel your pain. And also, meine Lieblingsfarbe ist blau. Alright, so with the basics down, let's talk about the animal aspects of my life story. So I don't remember a time in my life where I haven't been obsessed with animals and wanted to become either a zookeeper or a vet. Mostly a vet though, reason at the time being that vets make more money, but I promise that's not the whole entire reason why now that I chose vet, but we'll get into that later. I actually reached out to my dad to hear if he had known anything that triggered my obsession or anything like that, but he couldn't remember anything either, so I think I just saw a dog one day and went, oh my god, I need this thing. My earliest memories of handling animals I think was in kindergarten, where we had guinea pigs and rabbits, which didn't help my obsession at all, but those are some of the earliest memories I have with animals, and I don't really remember anything prior to that. Now, we didn't really have that many animals in our family, really. We got our first dog when I was 11, and that was the first dog in my family here in Denmark, whereas only my aunt, who lived in Norway, had a dog named Charlie. And that is actually one of the reasons why Charlie has her name, because I loved this dog so much. I would sometimes spend more time with it than my family when we visited. Oops, but you know, I didn't have any like dog or a cat at that time, if I remember correctly. So, you know, just having that one family dog that I got a bond to and all that, that was really something special. And that is also why Charlie has a name, because the dog Charlie sadly passed away in 2018. He was a very old dog. So what we did get before I was 11 and we got the dog, we got a cat named Apollon. And it sounds better in Danish, I promise. And we just called him Polle, which also sounds better in Danish. And to be honest, I don't remember Polle as a very affectionate and social cat. He would do, you know, cat stuff where he would go up and be all cuddly, and then 2 minutes after he would attack and I'd have these long scratch marks on my arm. And to me, he got pissed for no reason, but you know, I was very young, so I probably did something to piss him off as well. I should probably also mention that I, during my childhood, took riding lessons, and I did both dressage and jumping till I was 13, and I started when I was 6 or 7, I believe. So I did that for a good chunk of years, but I think I just stopped because it got boring. And not to brag, I'm bragging I think, I was probably the best student on my team, so I just got bored because the teacher would be focused on all the others that had all sorts of problems, while I would just sort of chill and ride around. And while that was fun for a couple of times, it just got boring in the long run, and my teacher came up and apologized to me at one time because she could see I was bored. But you know what, it's fine, and I think there were more factors to it than that. So I forgot to mention this, but factors like my jumping horse getting lame, my dressage horse getting sold, and also me getting 2 brand new teachers were also a very big reason why I quit. But I really did enjoy riding actually, and due to vet school and also just some research in general, horses actually are still a big interest of mine, and maybe I will get a horse in, far future. But for now, it's just a fun childhood memory. I'm talking too much again. So it's 2013, I'm 11 now, and we get our very first dog. He is a sweet little papillon named Mammoth. And I didn't have access to the internet, or I didn't know how to navigate it. So my mom did the whole dog breed research thing, and she ended on a papillon. And I'll insert some pictures here. He was super cute. I ended up being the one who trained him. We went to obedience training. I also ended up doing agility. Charlie. Thank you. But yeah, he had a blast. He loved agility and I loved training it. And I really, learned a lot about dogs from a young age. So it was super fun. So I don't want this to become a sad video, but we get into a pretty sad part of my pet care stories now. Because it does involve the death of not 1, not 2, but 3 of my pets in the span of 1.5 years. So these deaths do happen pretty sudden and we don't see them coming. I'm gonna explain shortly what happened. If you don't want to hear it, you can skip to this time mark here. Also, I know some of my family members are watching all this, so maybe I'll do another video where I talk about what happened in detail. Because there are some details that are important here, but I just don't want to talk about it too much in this one. So very quickly, here's what happened. So Mammoth didn't really get to much more than a year old because he did get driven over by a car when we were at some family member's house. And basically, they don't have dogs, and so it was just them not thinking about Mammoth being there, and so the front door was left open. So next one is probably the saddest one. After Mammoth's passing, we got another papillon from the same family named Prada, and Prada did not even make it to a year old because she ate a little piece of bambus that basically damaged her whole digestive system. So we didn't know this. We took her to the vet as soon as we, saw signs that she wasn't feeling well, and the vet, I don't know why, now that I'm in vet school, I really don't know why the vet didn't take it more seriously. She didn't check her for anything, she didn't do x-ray and none of that, and you could see she was not having a good time, something was wrong, but she didn't do any checks on her, and that is actually one of the stories that motivates me to this day to become a vet, because I don't want this to happen to anyone else. And I want to mention, we had her in at the vet 2 times. It wasn't just the first time. We had her in 2 times where the vet just gave her some medicine to, take away the pain. I don't know what you call it, but that's the only thing she did, and it angers me so much. So what ended up happening was that Prada passed away in our bathroom a Sunday evening. So we did not have Polle while we had Prada, just because we had Mammoth and Polle together. Here's a cute picture of them. But, even though they didn't mind each other that much, Polle was still sort of just an outdoor cat. And one of my mom's friends were looking for a cat, so we gave Polle away to this lady, and he really had a good time. But half a year after Prada's passed, I did get the news that Polle had passed as well. And that really hurt because he was my, first pet. I may have not had a tight relationship with him as with the dogs, but still, first pet. So yeah, a pretty sad period in my pet caring life, but it did motivate me a lot to become a vet, especially the story with Prada. And Mammoth was my first dog, that had some, training motivation behind it. I really wanted to do a better job at training the dogs so that this wouldn't happen again. And by the way, sorry if you can hear Charlie chirping a lot. She's getting her window time where she's sitting in the window and basically chirping with the cars and the people going down the streets, where when there are a little bit of noise, Charlie will join in. But at least it's not screaming, So we got the dogs that we thankfully still have today, which are Gucci and Gizmo. and they are also papillons. And a little fun fact is that Mammoth and Gizmo are siblings, and Prada and Gucci are siblings, and they are half siblings. They live at my mom's right now, but Gucci is sort of my dog, if you can say that, and Gizmo is my mom's, just because we obviously went to obedience training and agility with them again. But this time my mom could join in with Gizmo while I trained Gucci. So I obviously did do dog training for quite some time, but I did stop in 9th grade because I had to go on another school. And all the Danes are gonna laugh at me for trying to explain this, but here goes. So it's sort of a boarding school, but it's directly translated to after school. And it's very normal to go there in 9th or 10th grade here in Denmark. And basically it's sort of a school that specializes in specific activities or specific hobbies, where you just go for a year and have fun and meet new people and all that while you live on the school. So these schools are all over the country, and I naturally, of course, tried to find one that had something to do with animals. And I have found a single one, and it was in Rødby, which is a 5-hour train/bus ride from my family. And I was 13. So I went. So yes, this was the only school in the whole entire country that had anything to do with animals, and they had a program for zookeeping, so that was actually quite interesting. So remember, it's not a zookeeping education. I'm not an educated zookeeper or anything like that. It's just 2 days of the week where we have a zookeeping program, and then the other days of the week, it's just your normal 9th grade subjects. So the whole purpose of the school is just so that you can meet new friends with the same interest and do something that you really like. So the zookeeping days involved us taking care of some animals that the school had themselves, and those were cows and sheep and pigs and ducks and chickens. We also got some donkeys at some point, and also had some indoor animals, which were bearded dragons and guinea pigs, rabbits. We had some gerbils and tortoises. So we obviously learned to take care of these animals, but we also, the cool thing was that once every other week, half of the class would go to a zoo, a real zoo, and be with a zookeeper all day and basically go around and helping them with their daily routine. So we would clean and we would make toys for the animals, and we even got to pee in the tiger habitat, so that was a lot of fun. But you know, we got a sense of what it's like to be a zookeeper, while also learning a lot from the zookeeper that told a lot of stories about the animals and just about the animals themselves and all that. So it was extremely learningful. And I actually found out that I don't want to become a zookeeper. Now don't get me wrong, I learned a lot and it was super fun, and you do you. If you want to become a zookeeper, I can totally see the fun aspects of it. To me, it's just way too more of a cleaning job than an animal job. Now we of course didn't get to do all the fun animal stuff. The park wasn't even opened at this point. But you know, still, that's just the feeling that I got from it. Now, after this year had finished, I was done with what we call elementary school, I'm pretty sure. I'm a bit confused by the English terms because they don't really match with our system, but I'm gonna use them anyway, just so you guys get a sense of where I am in my school years. But I made some of the best friends that I still have to this day on that school, but now I was ready to move on to high school. Now I know one of May's questions were, how did I get into that school? So this is sort of where that journey begins, and I'm gonna try and explain the Danish school system really short, so here goes. So we have a website where you can go in and see all the different universities, you know, where are they located, and also the entry requirements. So I basically went in and I found out, you know, what subjects do I need and at what level, and then found a high school that matched those requirements. So I went ahead and took what we call an HTX, which is a high school with higher levels in subjects such as math and chemistry and biology. I also think is not very common on different high schools. So my initial plan was to take the biology program, since many of the different combination of requirements for, you know, vet school entry had biology in them. And I say initial because you might not know this, but I don't like biology really. Don't get me wrong, I like the animal aspect of it, but I don't like biology as a whole. So when I started at the school, we had another subject called technology, and that actually really caught my interest, but I still knew I wanted to become a vet. It didn't catch my interest, that much, but it was the subject that I had the most fun in. So I actually ended up taking the program where technology and design was in. And the reason why I could do this is because one of the requirement combinations for vet school entry didn't have biology on a high level. It was just biology on a base level, and then chemistry, math, and physics on a bit of a higher level, which was exactly what the school had. So I could just have my, normal subjects on the side, and then also run this technology and design program. And now this program actually involved marketing and how to develop a product and designing it and that stuff. So nothing to do with vet school at all. I don't really know why it caught my interest, but do I regret it? As someone reading up for my cytology exam, I do regret not having a better base knowledge for biology when I started, because a lot of the subjects do involve biology, so it probably would have been better in the long run, but it also just got me through high school to actually do something that I liked. So you know what? It's fine. And also, guess who has the knowledge to start her own business now? So it sounds pretty easy, right? Just choose a school that fulfills the requirements for entry, and then you're good to go. And in my case, and in some cases, yes, but in some other cases, no. Now, as I have mentioned in some of my other videos, there is only a single vet school in the whole country of Denmark, which is here in Copenhagen. And I don't know why this keeps happening to me, but there's always only one school. But that means, and it is probably the case for a lot of universities around the world, that there will also be some grade requirements. And the more people who want to attend one school, the higher the grade requirements become. Because imagine 100 people wanting to get into a school where only 50 people can go, well then it's the 50 people with the highest grade. And I'm not exactly sure how grades work in other countries, but here you get graded on the individual subjects both by the teacher, and also you get graded on the specific exams that you go to. And then as soon as you're done, you get the sort of average grade on all of the grades that I just mentioned, and then that is what the university uses to rate you. And to give you guys an idea about how hard it is to get into the vet school here in Denmark, these are the grades that a teacher can give you, where some of them, I'll just mention them. 0-2 is you passed with the minimum requirements, 7 is sort of an average, while 12 is excellent with only a very few mistakes. And to get into vet school, you need a grade average of 10.4. Imagine getting 0, 2, or 4 in just one class. That alone can be enough to us where it's almost impossible to get an average of 10.4. The way the system works, however, is that there is a second option if you don't have the grades, or are just on the tip of getting the grade that you need. You can go through some interviews and some tests, and they'll basically see if you have enough experience to us where you can still do relatively well on the university. So even though I might have gotten in on high grades and people think that you need enormously high grades to get into vet school, I'd still do study with someone who maybe didn't get a grade average of higher than 7, but they're still doing amazing and they're better than me in some of the subjects. So I'm really happy that we have this system. And the way it works also is that it's divided by 50-50, so 50% of the people that got into vet school got in by grades, and 50% of the people that got into vet school got in by, interviews. So even though I might have had the grades from high school to start on vet school right away, I didn't. I chose to take what we call a sabbatical year. Really? That sounds so weird. But it basically means that I take a year off and work instead of studying. This is, by the way, extremely normal for us Danes. I looked it up and 86% of young people take at least 1 year off. The reason behind my break was that I was not financially ready to move across the country I was 18 and I needed to move to Copenhagen to attend vet school. Now I do want to mention that thankfully we have an awesome system here in Denmark where not only education is free, but you also get paid to study if you're over the age of 18. So you can even get paid to study while you're still in high school. There are different rates depending on if you live with your parents or alone. I won't get into that, but it's a flat rate when you live by yourself, and it is just enough for, you know, food and rent. But I want to say that it's not even at this point in time because things are so expensive, and especially rent here in Copenhagen is extremely expensive compared to, you know, the other big study cities that we have. So I barely just get by with no job right now, but I am so happy that I took that year off just to work, because that means that I do have savings, you know, for vet bills if that becomes relevant, and I just have something that I can live off of. So I really have nothing to cry about, but I did need some extra money. So I took this year off where I worked at a pet store. Now this was actually, believe it or not, a very good pet store, and I learned so incredibly much about the different animals from my colleagues. And this was also where I started just doing research on all different sorts of animals, so rabbits and hamsters and fish and all these different animals that we sold. I wanted to know a lot about them so that I could really, you know, educate people that came to buy these animals. This is also what kickstarted my sort of interest in educating people on pet care, because I think I just realized how many people don't know things about pets when they go to buy them. You know, I would get different responses from both colleagues and also the customers, and I have some really fun stories. But I'm gonna save this for another video where I talk a little bit about my job here at the pet store. This is also where I actually got Charlie. I got her in the start of my sabbatical year, so that was extremely awesome. However, I did stop in the pet store after around 6 or 7 months, just because it took a 2-hour-long bus ride to get there, you know, both one way and the other. So it was essentially like 5 hours of transport every single day. It just became too much, but it was extremely fun. I brought Charlie to work with me, and it really helped her desensitizing training. So awesome year working, and then in August I moved here to Copenhagen to attend my studies. So without further ado, let's answer some of your questions. Alright, so the first question is from Crazy Cactus Collector, awesome name. Hi, my question is, what made you decide to go with a blue-headed pinus? Also, is there any other parrot you hope to get in the future, or is one enough? Lol. One is enough, but birds are flock animals, so obviously in the future I would love to give Charlie a companion. However, now I am not financially ready to take care of another bird. Not to mention, I don't have enough space to do quarantine. I don't have enough space for a separate cage in case they don't figure it out. But you know, when I'm done with my education in 5 years, then I will probably get Charlie a companion. And I also want to give her another pinus companion, probably. So why did I choose a bluehead? Well, I did a lot of research when I was little, obviously, and I think I just typed in most quiet bird because my mom didn't want a lot of noise. So I said most quiet bird, and a pinus showed up, and I just did all sorts of research, and the more I found out about the species, the more I was like, this is too good to be true. Like, they can't be both independent and quiet and, you know, beautiful in all the same box, but they were. So I went ahead and chose pinus because mostly they're quiet, but also this dependent part was very important for me because I do go to school. It's basically a 9 to 5 job, or it can be. So it was important for me that Charlie would not be stressed or start plugging because she was alone. So that is one of the main reasons why. And also I knew that I probably had to live in some sort of apartment setting. So having a bird that doesn't make too much noise was also very important to me. Now, why specifically a bluehead? I actually wanted a bronzewing, but the breeder I went to only had the 3 birds, 1 bronze and 2 blue-headed, and the bronzewing turned out to be a girl, which I was not first in line of getting. I was first in line for a boy, so I had the option to choose a blue-headed if I wanted to. And remember, this was the start of my sabbatical years, so I had a lot of free time and I only worked. So I went and I saw this cute little bird, and Charlie was extremely nice and she had such a good personality. So I chose her anyway, even though I maybe wanted a bronze wing, but again, then I can get it in the future maybe. A fun little extra story, I have, you know, the dream bird, if money and space were no problem, would be a hyacinth macaw. I absolutely love them. I'm into free flight, and free flight just seems to be easier with bigger birds, and it doesn't get bigger than this one, so you know, I have loved hyacinths. I think they're beautiful. The thing I haven't really liked about, you know, the blue and gold macaw and scarlet macaws and all that are the eyes. I don't like that you can, you know, see the pupils that visibly. Pinus don't have that, that's why I actually also love them. But hyacinths also don't have that, and on top of that they have this extremely cute smile to them, and blue is my favorite color, so I love hyacinths. I think they're beautiful, but they're probably too much work for me also in the future, so I'm probably not gonna get one. So the next question is from Sophie, and she would like to know if Pinus parrots are very destructive and get themselves easily into trouble. So Charlie does. I think all birds at some level will be destructive, and it's just about conditioning them to this destructive behavior. So with Charlie, I think Pinus parrots in general don't play that much as other species might do. Charlie has tons of toys in her cage, but sometimes she won't even touch them, and I try and, you know, rotate them and put them outside the cage, but she really doesn't care, and you know, she knows what not to bite in, and therefore she will bite in that and not what she is supposed to bite in, which is her toys. And it sounds weird, but I give Charlie so many toys. She has so much in her cage. She even has stuff outside of her cage, and yet she thinks that my plants are the most interesting thing ever. She thinks that my chair is the most interesting thing ever. So you know, it's all about buying toys and conditioning this destructive behavior, because they will have it. Alright, so a few questions from Stuck in the Lazy Corner again, and the first ones are for Charlie. What is your favorite vegetable/fruit, and what is your favorite thing to do with Stella? And then a few other questions. Do I play video games? If so, on what console, and which are some games that I play? If not, do you enjoy watching series/movies, and which type? So short answer is yes, I play tons of video games and have always done so. I think it was my brother that started the whole thing. So a little video game story. I think the first games I played were on a very old Nintendo DS, and I played tons of Pokemon, and I have played a lot of Mario as soon as the Wii came out. We also had a GameCube, and all I remember is Mario games, and I also used a lot of time on Zelda Twilight Princess, because he turned into a wolf, obviously. So yeah, I was much of a console person when I was younger, especially the Nintendo consoles, you know, Wii and GameCube, and later I got a Switch. But I wasn't really much of a PlayStation or Xbox type of person, you know. I loved watching my brother play Assassin's Creed, but I never thought that I would be good enough to play them myself. And for the PS2, I remember especially playing Spyro Dawn of Dragons, but I think that was the only game that I really played on it. Spectropes, if any played that game, but I used a lot of time on Spectropes, and Zelda and Mario. That's really the core games that I remember, but I played so many games. Like, if I can, I'll try and get footage of some of the Wii games that we have, because we still have them all, and sometimes when I'm home I actually find myself turning on the Wii and playing some of my old games. When I got a bit older, my brother introduced me to MMOs, and we only had a single, you know, PC at the time, so me and my brother would share and play a lot of MMOs. We started off with Warhammer, I think, And then we later played World of Warcraft, which is a large game. You probably have heard about it before. And I still play it to this day. So World of Warcraft has really stuck with me. So for any interested that might know World of Warcraft, I started playing in very early Cataclysm and have played ever since. So I think I have played video games since I was 8 or 9. So it has really stuck with me, and it is what I use a whole lot of time on. Other games that I play right now are also League of Legends. I play that a whole bunch with my friends. I don't do it much alone. I think we all know why I don't play League of Legends alone. Basically, the community is pretty interesting, so I mostly just play with friends and have never been tons into ranked and all that. But for those interested, I play mid and top lane mostly, but I can play any role, so if you want to play, hit me up, I guess. Now for the series and movie question, I'm not much of a person to watch series and movies myself. I most just watch YouTube or maybe some, programs on the television. I'm not much of a series person. I have tried anime and that, but it didn't really catch me, really. Maybe JoJo's was quite funny, but other than that, I'm not much of a series movie person. If I should choose though, I would probably put on a good old Disney movie. I love cartoons, so probably something like that. Some of my favorite series over the year: Phineas and Ferb, Kim Possible, Gravity Falls, Avatar: Last Airbender. And for movies, I have really enjoyed Avatar, actually, with the blue guys, not that abomination. Avatar with the blue guys, and a ton of Disney movies, but my favorite of them all being The Lion King. So while rewatching this, I realized that I completely forgot some of my absolute favorite series and movies. I obviously enjoyed Arcane. I recently watched Wednesday. How to Train Your Dragon is one of my favorite movie franchises. The big ones like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, Star Wars, obviously love those as well. So I probably forgot something more, but I just wanted to mention these because those are some of my absolute favorites. I don't know how I forgot them. It's getting dark because I'm talking that much. Alright, next question is from Psycho. Hi, my question is, what do you do with Charlie if you want to travel to another city for some days? So I rely very heavily on my mom to take care of Charlie whenever I want to do something. I most likely would go home and then give Charlie to my mom if I needed to do something for a weekend, or if I need to do something for a weekend while I'm here. I do have some friends at vet school who, believe it or not, really likes animals and therefore would probably love to take care of Charlie. Next combination of questions are from May regarding vet school, and those are: how is vet school? I also want to become a vet, so would you recommend it? Where is your vet school and how did you get in? How much do vets earn around where you live? And sorry for the managed questions, but it's a huge passion of mine. I really do understand that. I would probably do the exact same thing. So how is vet school and would I recommend it? Well, vet school is extremely tough, I can say that. As I mentioned, I am not much of a biology or chemistry girl, which I think is a huge disadvantage because those are the first subjects that we have. It can be really hard to have these first subjects because they're not really that animal oriented. We had a zoology class and that was basically just there to keep us interested. The teacher said that himself, not me. Being interested in biology and chemistry really gets you a long way here in the start, but I think you need to be prepared for not seeing, the animal parts of the education until later. But it also helps to know that it will come, and it's really what motivates me right now to get through these subjects because I don't think they're that interesting. Some might. So, if you want to become a vet, I would just say go through the education. I always have this thing about it's a 5-year education for a job that I'm gonna do for the next 40, 50 years. I hope I did get to answer your question on how I got in. And just to summarize, the university is located in Copenhagen as part of the University of Copenhagen. Now, how much do vets make in Denmark? Well, it really depends on what you're doing and where your job is. People might not think about that, but when you take the vet, education, you might not necessarily become a vet, but you might work in the food industry where you check animals for diseases. You might do some research work, or what do I know. But if you work at a vet clinic, which is probably what most are gonna do or think about doing, you are in Denmark going to earn around $6,100 as a monthly salary. And that is according to the website that I talked about before. They also show, what income can you expect as a starting salary when you go out on your first job. And $6,100-ish is the answer. So last question is from Lani, who asked, does Charlie know any dumb but cute tricks? And if yes, can you show us? Charlie knows a handful of tricks. I would love to learn her some more, but these are the ones that she can. She can do a spin, she can wave, and she can hang upside down. And her favorite trick to do is actually, surprisingly enough, target. She can also shake her head. I missed that one. So that is it for this one. It is getting dark outside, as you might have noticed, so I want to make some dinner. Thank you so much for sending in your questions, guys. And if you only just now realized that I did a Q&A, you're more than welcome to just leave a comment. Or if you feel like I didn't answer your question, I'm sorry, but leave it down there and I will try and write an essay for you answering. But yeah, have a lovely, lovely day or evening, guys. Bye!